There is 10 people in our group, that is Muhammad Adib, Amna Husna, Ilyana Suha, Nur Hasnim, Amir Ashraf, Nur Hazimah, Nur Fazana, Nurul Ayu Maisara, Nur Syafiqah Izzati dan Sharifah Nurdini Masdina. So first is introduction of economic issue. Our article is the epidemic of COVID-19 affect the exportation of the country palm oil. This article relates with topic 2, which is demand and supply. Palm oil exportation in Malaysia to China, India and Pakistan recorded a deterioration due to the decrease in demand along with the increase of COVID-19 case again and low production. Afin Huang Investment Bank. They do research note about the export deterioration to India was shocked since there was lack of import duties by the country. There was potential to the demand palm oil increase because there was 2 months left to the tax India to be low towards the raw palm oil and filter raw palm oil product, and also expect the production of filter raw palm oil product would be intense in the second half of 2021 compared to first half of 2021. Based on MIDF, the increase of COVID-19 case, food and non-food sector, and slow down recovery of demand in the second half of 2021. Lastly, the execution of vaccination in the large scale will help the development of demand towards food.
Discussion based on theory microeconomics. Ordinary product demand rises as people's earnings and purchasing power rise. A normal good has an income elasticity of demand coefficient that is positive but less than 1. In the case of ordinary goods, the income effect and the substitution effect both work in the same direction. A decrease in the relative price of goods will increase demand because the goods are now cheaper than substitute. And lower price mean that consumers have more total purchasing power, which allow them to increase their total consumption. Inferior products are those whose demand decrease as consumers' real income rises or rise as their income falls. When goods have more expensive alternative, demand rises as social economy improves. The income elasticity of demand is negative for low quality goods, and the income and substitution effect works in opposite direction. Consumer will want to buy other substitutes if the price of inferior goods rises. But because their real income is lower, they will also want to reduce their consumption of other substitutes. Consumers prefer higher quality products, but need more income to pay high price. Law of demand. COVID-19, as we all know, poses threat to income levels. When income falls, consumers are unable to demand more goods and services. They are only able to afford things that is in their limit of income. The economy is slowing, and many consumers will reduce their demand. In this case, the decrease in income will result in a decrease in the quantity demanded at each given price. As shown in the figure above, the original demand curve, DO, will shift to the left at D1. The change from DO to D1 represents a decrease in demand at any given price level. The quantity demand is now less. Law of supply, labor, materials, and machinery, collectively known as inputs or factors of production, are used to create goods and services. When cost of production factor rises, so does the cost of production, reducing the supply of goods. If a company faces higher production costs, it will make lower profit at any given product sale price. As a result of higher production costs, companies generally offer fewer quantities at any given price. In this case, the supply curve shifts to the left. For example, the country's palm oil export last month fell 0.8% to 1.4 million tons from 1.42 million tons. The previous month with export to China, India, and Pakistan declining by 23.1%, 19.8%, and 22.2%, respectively, to 163,879 tons in China, 225,041 tons in India, and finally 51,604 tons in Pakistan.
Theory of consumer demand. The theory of rational choice refers to economists' general theory of how people make decisions. Other countries' palm oil exports are decreasing as a result of government-directed movement control orders. As in Malaysia, the pandemic has a significant impact on palm oil productivity. As a result, the palm oil supply chain has been disrupted. Malaysia's palm oil industry is heavily reliant on foreign labor. Malaysians make up only 30% of the plantation workforce. As a result of the travel restrictions imposed to prevent the spread of COVID-19, labor shortages have arisen on the country's oil palm plantations. Theory of supply. The production theory is the production theory in microeconomics explains how businesses decide on the quantity of raw material to be used and the quantity of items to be produced and sold. It defines a relationship between the quantity of the commodities and production factors on the one hand and the price of the commodities and production factors on the other. Malaysia has identified key focus areas for the palm oil industry's development and growth over the next 10 years, which include productivity, sustainability, inclusiveness, value creation, and market development. Other priorities will include positioning palm oil in new emerging markets, ongoing efforts to dispel misconceptions about palm oil, the dissemination of accurate information on palm oil health attributes, its diverse and versatile applications, economic contributions, and worker well-being. These initiatives are critical in ensuring Malaysian palm oil's dependability, the industry's efficiency, and its credibility in contributing to global food security. Production theory. Palm oil has become the world's most widely used vegetable oil due to its low cost and versatility. However, its production has a high environmental cost, particularly in the two main producers, Indonesia and Malaysia. Efforts to make its production more environmentally friendly have a long way to go. Palm oil is made from the fruit of the oil palm tree, which is native to Asia and Africa's tropical regions. While diverse processes are used by palm oil producers to extract the oil, the core procedures in palm oil production remain the same. Oil palms must be planted and cared for by manufacturers until they reach maturity. After that, the tree's fruit can be collected and processed to extract the oil. Purifying palm oil to fulfill the needs of various users is the final step in the production process. Large farms in Malaysia and Indonesia produce the majority of the world's palm oil. These countries' producers develop exceptionally big oil palm plantations which flourish in the tropical climate. Theory of production input value. The palm oil business contributes significantly to the national economy and agriculture. Oil palm is an important crop in Malaysia, according to Basiran 2002, and the industry employs roughly half of the country's agricultural workers. In 2015, the Malaysian palm oil sector had a mixed performance and POB 2016. This report also recommends that oil palm planted area for 0.6% and crude palm oil CPO production grow 1.5%. The average price of CPO, on the other hand, has dropped by 9.6%. Malaysia's palm oil business has grown and is no longer solely dependent on palm oil plantations. Aside from plantation estates and smallholders, the industry has evolved into a well-established processing sector, according to Basiran 2002, which includes milling, processing, and packaging. The palm oil sector in Malaysia employed approximately 491,000 people in 2012. Sime Darby, based on plantation acreage and fresh fruit bunch production, is the world's largest publicly traded palm oil corporation. In December 2006, the firm was formed through a Malaysian government-led merger. Felda Global Ventures Holdings (FGV), the world's second largest oil palm plantation corporation, is also situated in Malaysia. Felda Ventures Holdings (FGV) is the world's third largest palm oil corporation by planted acreage, with about 850,000 hectares of land under its control in the country, including over 500,000 hectares it leases and manages for smallholders.
Hi, I am Adib. Thanks to the all members, I am going to tell about the summary of the issue. The analysis of demand. People seek goods and services from the economy in order to fulfill all of their wants. Demand refers to a consumer's desire to buy goods and services as well as their willingness to pay a price for them. Demand is influenced by a variety of factors. When price change, the quantity demand change, causing a shift along the same demand curve. This graph shows an example of a change in the price that caused a change in quantity demand. It shows that the price of palm oil decreased from P1 to P2, while the quantity demand increased from Q1 to Q2. Due to increased COVID-19 cases, resulted in the consumption of buying palm oil in bulk due to unstable economic conditions and export of goods. And we can agree, this is an increase in demand. Next, consumer preferences have an impact on the amount of palm oil required. This table shows how demand shifts as consumer preferences shift. The type of promotion that entices customers to purchase products, changes in viral trends on social media, seasons, and so on all influence one's preferences or taste. Demand will shift as taste shift. As demand increases, the demand curve shifts to the right, indicating positive changes in customer preferences. Consumers' tastes are influenced by a variety of factors, including the quality of palm oil, the content of palm oil that can be used for health, family, and friend recommendation, and a reasonable price. Let's take a look to the graph. Now, as long as the price of palm oil remains at P1, the quantity demand will fall from Q1 to Q2. D1 shift to D2, indicating decrease in demand, causing the demand curve to shift to the left. This is because consumers may develop new tastes as a result of decreased palm oil price due to economic conditions. Goods that are related to this good are called as related goods. An example of related good is complementary goods. Complementary goods are goods that must be used or consumed together. it is impossible to use the complementary goods without the other. When the price of palm oil increases, the demand will fall because these two goods must be used together. Here the graph shows the change in demand when the price of palm oil increases. Q1 shift to Q2 and the quantity demand shows an increase while the price being constant at P0. It shows an increase in demand when D1 shift to D2 that leads the demand curve shift to the rightward. Now I will show the analysis of supply. Supply is described as a producer's ability and willingness to supply various amounts of goods and services at various price and time frames. Firstly, price of palm oil. Palm oil supply is influenced by a variety of factors, including the price. According to the law of supply, as the price of a good increases, the amount provided for that good grows, and when the price of a good lowers, the quantity supplied for that good decreases. In other words, the law of supply establishes a positive link between the number of products given and their price. As demonstrated in the graph, changes in price and quantity supplied are represented by movement along the supply curve. The price of palm oil will rise from P1 to P2 and the quantity available of palm oil will rise from Q1 to Q2. Supply increase as the amount delivered increase. The second one is producer's expectation of future prices. Various variables will impact the supply curve change in relation to the product value. Once these requirements are met, the supply curve might shift to the right or left. The producer's estimates for future palm oil costs are one of the issues. As the supply of palm oil falls, the supply curve may move to the left. The graph shows how the whole supply curve varies when producers' prediction for future palm oil costs change. When farmers believe the values of palm oil will increase in the future, they will produce less palm oil now. As a result, even if the value remains at P0, the number of people equipped has decreased from Q0 to Q1. The supply curve shifts to the left from S0 to S1.
It may be concluded that palm oil is really play a significant role in human being. So the proof is more than 50% of packaged supermarket products contain palm oil, and it is in nearly everything including shampoo, lipstick and more. This is because a low-cost resource and incredibly efficient crop. COVID-19 influencing demand and supply curve in the current market. The decrease in income will result a decrease in the quantity demand at each given price. It is because when income falls, consumers are unable to demand more goods and services. They are only able to afford things that is in their limit of income. Not only that, this is also related to change in demand, which is due to the factor other than its own price, such as population, income, price of related goods that determine the demand. Palm oil is a major thing for buyer and seller to decide the equilibrium price and quantity of goods in a market. But there are four situations that lead to change in demand and supply and will affect the market equilibrium, and it shows that due to the COVID-19 pandemic, the demand and supplies of palm oil decreasing. The palm oil supply will improve in the second half of 2021. The price surge in the last quarter of 2020 reached the rapidly recovering demand from India and China, the world's two biggest palm oil consumers, after they went through nationwide lockdown and temporary halts on economic activity due to the pandemic. The rise in competing edible oil price is also slowly become positive.